Well, hey, friends, welcome back to the podcast. I'm introducing you to a new friend today. This is Tarzan K. Tarzan is a former copywriter. I know she's done some copywriting for my friend Amy Porterfield. She is a whiz at digital course launches and a sci-fi fanatic. That's so interesting. Did you know that that was on your bio?
I actually didn't know. Someone must have put this together for me. It is on my website, though, that I love Battlestar Galactica. And also, my last name is Calrissian. Like, we took our
Okay.
last name from Lando.
Yeah, I knew it. Now let's talk about the name real quick because I knew that that wasn't your full name. So tell me your last name again.
So, my last name is Calrissian,
Okay.
and it's not spelt the same as Lando. Like, we made up our own spelling, but that's my last name.
Okay. I love it. And you're in Canada.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so I wanted to talk to you today about some copywriting tips because we have a ton of business owners who listen to the Jennifer Allwood Show podcast. And right now, especially, I think people are wondering, what the heck do we send out an email? Is it even, should we even be emailing? They're feeling just a little bit weird about the state of the world and what to actually be sending people. And so is copywriting different today than, let's say, if we had done this podcast episode 2 months ago?
So, oh my gosh, it depends when this podcast airs because actually what I've found is like it's coming in waves. Like initially when it felt like the world just suddenly shut down all at once and nobody saw it coming, or we maybe should have seen it coming, but all of a sudden it was like we're stuck at home and we can't move. Then any promo emails that I was reading that didn't acknowledge what was going on felt like really insensitive.
Right.
Or just like, it just felt like you're not being considerate. Like you obviously wrote this 2 months ago and didn't think to update it.
Yeah.
Well, my life's completely upside down.
Yeah.
So I think initially like that was my feeling. But then now there's like the second wave that's like now everybody, including myself, has like a new freebie that's like all about, how to sell in these crazy times when life is upside down. So that's like the second wave. And then it feels like everything is about COVID.
Yeah.
And it's become like really refreshing for someone to not talk about it, to just like go into what's really important to them and, how to make a change regardless of what's going on. So I just feel like you have to be sensitive to your audience. Some people probably really do need to hear about it. In some cases, like you can't pretend that life is not what it is right now. But you got to make the decision for yourself. I would say like sometimes yes, sometimes no.
I totally would agree with that actually. That it's more of like on a case by case basis. And so let's talk about COVID or no COVID. Let's talk about just some basic like copywriting tips. Do you have like every email needs to contain, 1, 2, 3, or like tell me about some basic tips for somebody who's listening who's like, gosh, I have a list and I haven't used it in 100 years, or I always feel like I'm bugging people when I send them an email, or I'm just never really sure what to write. I don't really know what to put in it. So do you have some just basic tips that can help people out?
Yeah. Okay. For starters, like we do need to get over all of this emotional chow chow around email. Like those people that signed up on your email list, they volunteered to be on it. You didn't grab them from thin air and start emailing them. Like they said they wanted to hear from you. So now if you don't email them, it looks like you're being inconsistent. So that's like the other side of the coin. And that's a nice way to sort of just reframe that idea that you're bugging people. If you actually are bugging them, they can unsubscribe. They always have that option. So you just have to bravely keep emailing. But in terms of like just how to write a good email and how to get engagement, you always want to think about it like a conversation. Like email marketing, we have this weird language in email marketing that's like email blasts or like mass marketing. It is not that. And I think it really changes the way you write emails when you think of it rather than a one-to-many strategy as like a human to human. Like think about yourself as talking to one person. One other thing I'll say is it always helps to start with story. Always, always, always. We love stories. Like a lot of people say with your content, you should give value, give value, give value. And what a lot of people think is that, well, that must mean I have to teach something, or I can't email my list if I didn't publish a new blog post teaching them something else. It doesn't matter. Value, like think about what you truly value. Right now, what I value the most is connection. So if you can connect with me deeply in an email, like then I want to hear from you. And stories are one of the primary ways that we connect with each other.
Love that. I love that so much. So, okay, so stories inside of the copywriting. And then what about subject lines? Like, It's
Oh
interesting
yeah.
because subject lines, I think they're so important because here's what I do. Tarzan all the time. I sit down in my email and I'm like, delete, 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 delete. Oh, that looks interesting. Delete, delete, delete.
Yes.
Oh, wait, I'll come back and look at that one in a minute. Delete. Okay, that one's kind of, you know what I mean? Does everybody else do
Yes.
that or is it just me?
That is everyone.
Okay.
Most of us, like I am so like my inbox is so tight. Like I do not get very many emails. And that is incredibly unusual. Most of us have tons of them. And that's the first thing we do is scan the subject lines.
Yes.
It is so, so important. And what most of us do is like you're sweating over your email and you're like, oh, I'm going to write this thing. Okay, I wrote the thing. I did this. I'm so brave. Now I have to send it. Oh, I forgot. I have to put a subject line.
Yes.
And then like you throw in a subject line. The subject line like is the most important thing because if you don't get the subject line is the gate. Like that's like what tells people like, come over here, open this door. It's so, so important. And of course you have to deliver on the other side of that subject line. But so a couple of tips I'll give for subject lines. The first thing is like before or after your email, I don't know how much it matters, but always write like at least 5 subject lines, just like to brainstorm. It's like a headline. So just write a bunch and then pick the one that's the best. The more you write, the better they're going to be. The first 5 are usually crap, and then you might get to something good or something you can work with. And another hot tip is like the emails that you open are subject lines that make you curious. That I'm like, I wonder what she means. And one way that you can always make people curious is by using the word this. And if you think about a couple of examples, have you seen this? ? Or this made me so mad. Or I love this so much. I gave this person all my money. Like, who's this? Who's this? I want to solve the mystery. Anytime you can put curiosity in a subject line, you are guaranteed much more people are going to open it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let me run a headline past you, can I? Or the name of an email. So my book, Fears About the Boss of You, came out last week. It hit Publishers Weekly. It was in the top 15. So my book was right behind Carrie Underwood's. You know, the famous Carrie Underwood with the great.
Well done.
And so in my head, I'm like, wouldn't that be a great email title? Like, what do Carrie Underwood and I have in common? P.S. It's not mistakes. But is that a terrible headline because it doesn't have the word "this" in it?
No, that's perfect because it's curiosity. It's the same thing. What is that thing? I want to know. What do you guys have in common?
Okay. Oh, good. Now I feel all excited because I'm constantly trying to think of what would I open an email that it was titled. And so tell me about your thoughts around like using emojis in titles of emails. Do you like that? Hate it? Overused?
I just did recently this week. I do it from time to time. But what you got to know is that not everyone is going to see the emoji. Like different providers like show different things. There is there's a tool. This is like above and beyond where people need to go. But just to do it one time to check, there's a tool called Litmus, and you can you can put your subject line. I think you can even put your email copy in there. You can put it in there and it will show you what your email looks like in like 30 different servers like Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail. And then you'll be able to see, and I think you can even see mobile and desktop, I'm not sure, but you'll see like what it looks like when it doesn't show up. And maybe just take a look and see if you're okay with that. Okay. I personally am okay with it. I always just make sure I usually avoid doing is using an emoji when instead of a word, like this is such bull poop emoji. Well, that still kind of makes sense if you don't see the poop emoji, but in general, like this made me smiley face. Some people might not see it.
Okay. That makes complete sense. And did you say it was Litmus, like Litmus? Mm-hmm. Litmus. Okay. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay. So your best tip to get people to open the email, is it a good headline?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like that's short. That's your short game though. But in the long term, like I know that people open my emails despite like sometimes if I don't have the best subject line because I built a lot of trust with them. Like I'm radically consistent about email. I send great stories. I make them laugh. They know when they see something in their inbox from Tarzan, it's going to be a good time.
Okay. And so just out of curiosity, how often do you email or how often do you suggest that people email?
So 2 different answers. I email my list 3 times a week and I think that's pretty advanced. Like, I mean, email is my zone of genius. Like that's where I do my best work. I know that I can keep people and people will tolerate 3 emails a week from me. I also, I'm on this email list of this Franciscan friar. Like, he's a priest. His name is Richard Rohr. He emails his list every single day, I think even on weekends. And yeah, it's one of the few email lists I'm on, and I don't read his email every day, but I just like it in my inbox because it's always has really good stuff in it. But on the other hand, like, let's say you're a new entrepreneur, you're like just getting the hang of email. If you can commit to once a week, that would be beautiful. And that would absolutely be enough.
Okay, perfect. So what are some differences that people should make when they're writing different kinds of emails, like a nurture email versus a launch email?
So, I mean, when you're nurturing people, you're getting to know them and you're winning their respect.
And you're just love, right? You're just loving
You're just
them
love. Yeah. Yeah. And as I said earlier, like, a lot of people think nurture email equals value email which means I should teach something. No, it's like you're dating someone. You're just dating right now. You're getting to know each other. You could focus, like, that's a great time to focus on asking questions. Like, for my last promotion, I was promoting a program all about how to get publicity. So for several months leading up to that promotion, in my nurture emails, I ended with them by saying, hit reply and ask me, what's your number one struggle when it comes to getting publicity for your business? I started collecting all this amazing data and understanding all the objections that people would have for this program, which I used to write my promo emails. So nurture is just like, you're getting to know them. You're, trying to get them to trust you because you're trustworthy.
Right.
And, showing how consistent you are, all those things. And so those emails, like, they are usually linking to a blog post. Maybe you're trying to get people to follow you on Instagram or whatever social channels you use. Maybe you're just trying to get people to hit reply, start conversations. When you switch to a promotional period, every promotional email should have one very specific goal. Click this link, look at my sales page, buy my product. Or maybe if it's not open yet, click this link, join my webinar. That's it. Right. You want to really focus, like, get them to do one thing. And those promo emails, they're going to vary a lot throughout your promotion. Like, in the early stages, you might be really going hard on, like, your special bonus for the early action takers. Then in the middle, you're like, I don't know, maybe you have a special payment plan. You're focusing really hard on that. And then toward the end, you're like hitting the objections hard, sending a meaty FAQ. And then you're just like, hey, get off the fence. Let's take some responsibility, either buy this thing or do something else.
Right. So when you're in sales mode and you're sending out sales and launch emails, is there any tips that you have to make them feel less salesy, or do you just like lean into the fact that you're selling? Like, it is what it is.
Totally lean into the fact that you're selling. Like, I think this is another one of these, like, sticky mindset things that we do have to work on. It's like, why do you feel so scared to sell? Is it that you don't believe in the quality of your product or that you can deliver? Like, what's really going on there? There's nothing wrong with you for being scared to sell. We all have to work through this, but you actually do have to work through it, because otherwise you probably won't send enough emails, or your sales emails won't be, like, super strong. So, but yeah, just be upfront. Like, something, like, a common thing that people will do is, like, they're selling something, and let's say it's not a big promotion. They're just like, I want more one-on-one clients. So you're, like, writing this email and, like, you're telling this great story. And then it's like at the bottom, like, you're just whispering, also, would you like to work with me?
Yeah.
Like, just be upfront about it. I have something to offer, and here's what it is. And if you don't want it, that's okay.
Right. Okay. So let's say you're in the middle of launching something. You have a course or something, Tarzan, that you're launching. How many emails are, like, average, or how many are some of your clients sending out on average, or how many do you suggest, like, during, let's, say an average open a cart time? Like, we just launched my course that I launch once a year, my Creators Roadmap, back in February. And so it was open for 5 days. So, like, is there a standard, like, on day one, send 27 emails? No, I'm just kidding. Not that many.
Okay. Well, what I usually recommend for beginners, like, when you're just sort of getting the hang of email and you're not a super pro yet, to email your list once a day, twice on the day before cart close, and 3 times on the day of cart close.
Okay.
That being said, I am not a beginner.
Right.
My last promotion, I was an 8-day cart open time and I sent 20 emails. Not everybody got all 20 emails. And those are only promotional emails, by the way. There was like a whole series of pre-launch emails. There's a whole series of onboarding emails. This is just the promo emails. We sent 20, but not everyone got all of them. So I have specific segments of my list. Like I have a segment of people that are the most engaged. Like they clicked all the links. I know they've seen the sales page. I know they attended the webinar. So like I'll do a couple extra for them because I know they're my hottest prospects. You know, I'll send them 2 extra emails. On cart close day, I send 6 emails. One of them like 30 minutes before the cart closes when the sales are like, you know, usually coming, you know, at top speed.
Ever during a launch is like
it's the best.
You're like, yes,
it's the best.
Well,
you're like
you last minute people.
yes, you're sweating on the couch, so tired, can't do anything. Like, okay, it was worth it. Refresh. It was worth it.
Exactly. Refresh. Okay.
Yeah.
So, totally different topic, but when you are sending out emails and you're writing your copy and all the things, do you like inserting GIFs or GIFs or however you're supposed to pronounce that, or do you hate that in an email?
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Okay.
I love GIFs. I use, yeah. By the way, let's just get back to GIF or GIF.
Okay.
I used to say GIF, but in my heart, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's GIF. I kind of, you know, I like looked it up and, you know, kind of concluded that it's actually GIF. And then I went, but I kept saying GIF because I was like, I can't change. Yeah. And then I went to this event and I saw this speaker and she was kind of a comedian copywriter. She was great. And she was like, you know, I used to say GIF, but now I say GIF and it's fine. People can change. And I was like, oh my God, I can change. I'm just going to start saying GIF. And I feel so proud of myself every time I say GIF.
And so do you think that's actually, it's because I'm like, is it birthday party or peanut butter?
I think it's peanut butter.
You think
yeah. Well, also think about the website where I like find all my GIFs is jiffy.com.
Jiffy. Yep. It's Jiffy and not Giphy. Yep.
It's definitely Jiffy. Like Jiffy means something. Giphy doesn't mean anything.
Totally like kind of off topic, but really related to this. So my team made 3. So now I got to say it. Is it GIF or GIF? They made 3 GIFs for my book launch. And so there's like,
oh my God. Yeah.
I'm going like this.
Yes.
In the background. I'm like, we are so smart.
Yes, you are so smart. And so, okay, on the topic of GIFs, what I don't like is like some people definitely overuse GIFs and it's not like it should be immediately clear when I open an email, why is this GIF here? And a lot of times, like I see a lot of celebratory GIFs that are just like pulled from the internet. Make your own GIFs. Like I do this all the time. I use this website, makeagif.com. And I even recently like splurged for a premium subscription. I forget why. So that, you know, anyway, for whatever reason, to remove the branding, whatever. I used it for a long time, even though it had the branding on it. And I would like make a silly, like do something silly at my computer, make a GIF in 2 seconds. Sometimes I'll record a video on my iPhone and then come back, put it in, make a GIF, turn it into a GIF. There's probably easier ways to do it, but like make your own GIFs of yourself doing funny things. But also great way to make a GIF is like you could like have your book and you could like open the page and then you could like turn that into a GIF. One thing I love to do with online programs is to make a GIF of like clicking through the inside of it. So it's like opening screen, click through first module, scroll, done. And that's the GIF. Like, just like think a bit outside the box with your GIFs. Don't just use whatever you found on jiffy.com.
I love that. Okay. So I have been told though, that if you put a GIF in an email, and this I know goes outside of the scope of copywriting, but it's related, that it really prevents emails from landing in the right open folders. And the open rate will obviously be lower because half of them are going to end up in spam. True or false?
Well, once again, you can run your email through Litmus and it will tell you things like that. I personally haven't noticed a problem on my email list. and I use a lot of GIFs, so I've never noticed a pattern of emails with GIFs having a lower deliverability. I would just say like, you can do tests on your own self. Like if you're emailing, like just email your list for 4 weeks straight. And then on the 5th week, add a GIF and see if it does anything. Usually when you're having like I would say that that's probably more of a higher volume problem. Like when you have 100,000 subscribers, okay, then you maybe need to look at if that decreases your open rate by 1%, because 1% is significant. But like when you're like in the, like 20,000 or less, which is the category that I'm in, really, you just have to be on top of your own numbers, because like, and the same thing applies to open rates and click-through rates. Like you should always be in competition with yourself, rather than looking like, what is the industry standard? Because the industry standard varies wildly depending on your industry and depending on the number of subscribers. And even like, if we're thinking about open rate, like I was just looking at this earlier today, sort of doing a debrief in my head of my last launch. And when we started out the promotion, our open rates were like, close to 30%. And then some of the emails that went to small segments of my list of like 500 or some people, some of those emails had like a 50% open rate. And then toward the end, when we're like really sending a lot of emails at a time, then the open rate was as low as 17. So, but I know like those, to me, like those numbers have context because I'm watching my own. But for a lot of people listening, like I just barfed a bunch of numbers at you. Like just look at your own stuff.
Right. Okay. So last question here, and then I'm going to ask you just a couple of fun questions though. But for somebody who, they know they need to send email, they've been in my course for a long time, they understand the value of email. I mean, I've told them, even though I have 500,000 social media fans and 100,000 on my list, so I have 1/5 of the people on my list, but I still sell 75% of all my sales still come from my list and not from my social media. So they've heard me harp on this. But for the girl who's listening, who's like, okay, I hear it, I get it, I need to send emails, but I'm really bad with grammar and I'm really bad at writing, period. Do you have any suggestions for her?
Yes, totally. So everybody thinks this, for starters. And like, some people are lucky and they're just born knowing how to write. Nobody's born knowing how to write emails. You always have to learn that. But few people are just lucky and they're born with it. All the rest of us, we have to work at it. And like great writers write, and they write a lot. That's why I have this special superpower, because I have written thousands of emails. So you have to, like, the most important thing when it comes to email is to just make the commitment to be consistent with it. And in the beginning, like just get it out and start conversations.
I mean, there's spell check, right? And
there's spell check. Yeah. And who cares? Like grammar, like great grammar, like you're not writing a paper for your 11th grade English teacher. You're like, use your own grammar, like be fluid with grammar and have a good time and use spell check.
Okay. And so that brings me to for real, the last question. So do you get a bunch of those emails, Tarzan, that are like, oops, sorry about that. The link was wrong in the last email, and you're like, was it really wrong? Or are they just trying to send another sales email? Or the doors to the cart have closed. Then you get the email that like, well, so many of you have asked us to reopen it. Like, do you find that people is this a thing? Is this a thing?
I have a story about this, Jennifer. And so in my last promotion, like, okay, for your listeners, by the by, most people do not close the cart the second they say the cart is going to close. It is a customer service nightmare. Yes. So we have to decide that it's closing at 5 p.m., but chances are, like, industry secret, like it might still be there at 6 o'clock. We don't know. You don't know when it's going away.
And I don't make my team stay up until midnight, to take it down. So I'm like, as soon as you're up in the morning, go ahead and take it down. So
take it down. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, but here's where it gets dicey. And so I'm in the middle of my last promotion and I'm like coming to the cart close period. It's like cart close day. And I know the cart's going to stay open. And someone had suggested to me, like, write a social media post like half an hour after it closes and be like, hey, look, I just checked and the cart's still open. And I went to my team and I was like, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And thank goodness my team is like very aware of my values. Yes. And one of my team members said, Tarzan, integrity is really important to you. You said that was important. And I was like, I can't believe I was even thinking of doing that. But I also understand when like we get so wrapped up in making the most sales and being the best. And like, a lot of marketing makes it look like in order, like, you're not a success until you're making $1 million. And like, this is just all patriarchy that thinks we have to be the best and we have to make the most money. And you get caught up in it and you do messed up things. So I like when I feel compassion for people who do those sorts of things, but I do not like, I don't want us to do stuff like that. I really like, I know that.
Else.
What's that?
This kind of puts a bad taste in everybody's mouth for marketers, I think.
Exactly. But this is also one reason why people hold themselves back from marketing, from sending email or from running Facebook ads, because they're like, I don't want to be gross. You don't have to. Like, I have the most dedicated and loyal audience, like, because I am like, I have integrity and I tell them I'm not going to do stuff like that.
I love that. Okay. I'm going to rapid fire you just a couple of quick questions. I appreciate so much all of your wisdom and your knowledge around.
Thank you.
So that's amazing. But real quick, I want to ask you, what's your favorite book right now?
Oh my gosh, your audience is going to think I'm crazy if I tell you, but I'm reading the greatest book right now. It's called Anna, Grandmother of Jesus. And it's like about the grandmother of Jesus who lived for like 600 years and went through all these trials to prepare to like give birth to Mother Mary. It's totally blowing my mind. I'm going through a spiritual awakening right now, and Anna is part of it. And so is Jesus.
Excellent. I love it. Okay. Tell me about your favorite room in your house.
Favorite room in my house? Oh, definitely my office. We bought a new house 2 years ago, and the second floor is like made to be the master bedroom. It's like an attic, so it has like an atrium kind of ceiling.
I can see your ceiling right behind you.
Yeah, it's like and it has a skylight. It's like, I have this beautiful handmade desk. It's made from walnut. My husband made it for me. It's like the most divine space.
Oh, I love my office as well. So I totally get that. All right. Favorite place to vacation. And we will be able to vacation again soon. I'm believing that.
I feel like California is my home away from home. I'm never quite on vacation there because I'm always working, but I live in cold Canada and we escape like the whole family. My son is 5 and he's been to California probably like 8 times. We just love it there. I feel like it's my second home.
Yeah, fantastic. So, all right. So, thanks, Tarzan, for being here today. People are going to want to contact you. They're going to want to know, are you for hire for copywriting? They're going to want to know where they can find you on the internet. So will you kind of tell them all the things, where to go, how to find you?
So I'm not for hire, but I do have a program about email. It's called Email Stars. It launches in June. And if you go to tarzank.com/email, you can grab a 10 email promo sequence swipe. I also have lots of email related freebies on my website, but I would say like get the free thing because why not? But also like just join my email list because it's really fun and it's my best work and people really love what's going on there. I'm like here for a real conversation.
Okay, that's so great. And do you prefer Instagram, Facebook?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Also, I just until last fall, like I didn't do any social media. My entire business was built on email, and I started using Instagram in the fall. It's made a huge difference. I love it, and I am in my DMs every day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tarzan, for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate your knowledge. I'm actually going to have my whole team listen to this email so that we can get a little, or listen to this podcast episode so that we can, we can always improve our email game. So thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Makes me so happy. Thank you.
All right, friends. So go take a peek at Tarzan. Find her on Instagram. Go get on our email list if you're interested. And don't be so nervous about sending out emails. Listen, if you get a few people unsubscribe, it's the same thing as like when they, unfollow you on social media. Those were not your people. You can't be worried about it. And you have to make sure that you're writing and that you're giving good content and good things to the people that want to be there. So send the emails. Thank you so much for being here. We will see you again next week. Bye-bye.